But do an inventory of who you are. Do an inventory before you run your kids off and they don't want to be around you. Because if you hold on too tightly, they're not going to want to put up with that, and they're going to run away from you as fast as they can. And they're going to resent you instead of love you. You make the choice. You decide, do I want to be loved or resented? And do I want to make the best road for my kids to take and then help them get down that road? And if that road ends up away from me, so be it. You got to make that decision. All right. Hey, I'm Scot Ferrell. Thank you for joining me for What's Your Problem? What's the show about? Well, we solve problems. You've got a problem, we solve the problem. How's that? Is that easy enough? What happens? Where do I get the topics from? People stop me in public and they'll go, hey, you're that dude. I got this problem. Could you answer it? Or my wife comes up with list and lists of problems for me. Or like this past weekend, where was I this weekend? Well, that wonderful person behind the camera here managed to get herself married this weekend to a wonderful young man that we love and adore. So I just sat and observed people all weekend. So I wrote this based on what I observed from the time we left Atlanta till we got to Alabama and back on families. So today's topic is, how do we let our kids go? So basically what is it? We're letting our kids go and be adults. So what did I see this weekend? Well, if you'll notice, there's a Christmas tree back here. Now, my wife likes to keep Christmas trees up year round. So it's not necessarily the time of year for our Christmas tree. My wife likes the lights. So I love my wife, so I do what she asks me to do. But why do we have such a hard time letting our kids go? Well, this past week, I'm at a place called Buc-ee's. And if you've never been to a Buc-ee's, man, it's like Disneyland for convenience stores. I'm watching parents with their kids and how the clutch they have on them. And then we get to Alabama, we get to the hotel, same thing. And then we get to the wedding, same thing. And then we've got to watch parents give their kids away, same thing. And then we come back, stop at Buc-ee's again. It's a prerequisite with my wife, same thing. All right, so, and then you add in the fact that I'm a parent, my wife's a parent, we're both parents. Why do parents have such a hard time letting their kids go? You ever ask yourself that? Maybe you're 30-something and you've got little ones. Or maybe you're 60-something and you've got little ones, which are grandchildren now, and you've had to somehow, some way navigate letting your older kids go. But now you've got grandkids, so you're all good, right? So why do we have so much trouble? Well, that's what the list is for today, and I wanted to go over that because it's a good question. And the more I hang around people, I'm a pastor, so I also have people coming to my church, or I'll go and speak at other churches. And I get to observe families, and I can tell you who's healthy, who's not, who's having trouble with the changeover from being a little child to being a teenager to being an adult, and who's not, right? So why do we have trouble? Well, we forget that kids are loaned to us. We forget that our job as parents is to get them to being an adult independent of us. I sat our child down, our youngest, G. I sat him down when he was 12, and I said, all right, we're going to look on this whiteboard, because every Thursday night we did whiteboard time as a family from 7 to 9, and a lot of times I taught the physics of the Bible. But we went over life. What do you want to do? Who do you want to be? Where do you want to travel? Where do you want to go? How many languages do you want to speak? What is it you really want to do to make a living? And what's God got you doing? And we would go over these things on Thursday nights. And I said, gee, my job is, as your dad, is to get you ready to be independent of me by the age of 18. So by 18, I'm going to move you out, but I'm going to have you ready to move out, and I want you to go on and be a man. And I want you to go on and do what you want to do and what God's called you to do, and I want you to go have fun. And we even told him, hey, we'll buy you a ticket to anywhere in the world you want to go, but it's one way, because we want you to go and have fun, and then when you're ready to come home and be an adult and start life, you can. Kind of like a gap year in Europe. Why? That's where we grow, man. And between college and high school, I'm a big advocate of gap years. You go check the world out, figure out what you want to be, who you want to be, where you want to go. So since the age of 12, we were gearing him to be independent of us. And now in his 20s, we actually asked him the other day, because we're looking to get another house, and we're like, we miss him. And we're like, if we got a house with a guest house, would you like to stay there? And he said, I appreciate it. No, thanks. You guys got me independent. I'm going to stay independent, and I want to be alone. Wow, we did our job. So mom and dad, please listen to me. I made the list here. Why do we grab our kids with both hands and not want to let them go? We act like they're never going to leave us. We act like they're not going to be adults. We act like they're not going to grow up. I hear a lot of moms always say, they're growing up too quickly. It's going by too fast. I don't want my babies to ever leave. Really? In our job? But I look at it this way. I tell people this all the time. I'm like, if they don't leave us and go get married, we can't have grandkids. I like grandkids. I'm waiting on some myself here. So everybody seems to like grandkids. So if they don't leave you and go get married, you can't have the grandkids. And then you can't have great-grandchildren. And then you can't have all the fun with those kids. And see where I'm going with this? Plus, I told our son, I said, all right, as soon as you move out, we're going to have a naked room. Kind of like Failure to Launch with Terry Bradshaw, right? I said, so you had better knock on the door next time you come back. As soon as you leave the house, you better knock on the door because we may be naked. So many times we get caught up in the wrong ways with kids. So I hear a lot of ladies tell me it's all about the children. No, it's all about your spouse. Spouse one. Teach that in my church. Spouse one, kids second. Spouse one. Because our marriages aren't the greatest, not mine. I love my wife deeply and we have a naked room. So our son knows to knock and not use his key. He better wait until somebody acknowledges his presence. But a lot of people who don't have the marriage they've always wanted will focus on the kids. So the whole focus of their lives for those 18 years or 22 or how many kids you have here, it's the kids. So if the kids leave, you just subtracted the reason why they're still married. Can tell you how many couples tell me, well, we stayed married for the kids. Oh, we really hate each other, but we stayed married for the kids. Well, now your kids have learned, well, again, you've not hidden anything from the kids. They know if you can't stand each other. And now you've told your kids or showed the kids that marriage can't be happy. So we're kid focused, not spouse focused. So now we have to hold on to the kids. All right, let's look at another way. Let's look at a single parent. Sometimes a single parent will make that child the spouse. They talk to the child like they're equals. They dump everything on the child. They take the child everywhere. And then when the child wants to be independent, they hold them and won't let them go and won't let them leave and won't let them go out and find themselves and won't let them move out and won't help them to do it. None of that's healthy. Again, healthy is, hey man, you're leaving this nest as quickly as possible. Let's take a note from nature. How fast the eagles get pushed out of the nest? Oh, pretty fast, right? I'm gonna push you out. If you can't fly yet, I'm gonna scoop you up, bring you back, then I'm gonna keep pushing you till you fly. Nature has a way of pushing out. Remember something. These are God's kids, not yours. I tell people all the time, we're the kid's babysitter because we have to add into an equation that God placed this child here for a reason. God gave them gifts and talents to spread his gospel. God gave them a career and talent to do that career, and it's our job to get out of the way. Now, it's our job from 0 to 18 to get them ready for that. All right, so what do we have to teach them? Self-discipline, who they are in Christ, what their job is, what their skill set is, what they're really good at doing. Should they or should they not go to college? Should they go to trade school? Should they skip it all? Should they just go to work? Should they travel overseas? Should they go into the military? What should they do to continue their lives? Not what you want them to do, not what you pigeonhole them to do, not because you want them to be close, not because you want them within a mile of the home, not because you're unhealthy psychologically, not because and because and because. See, what we have now is we have a lot of helicopter moms or parents who want their kids to stay in the nest. That's not healthy for one, it's not scriptural for two, and then it's just bad parenting three. No, it's our job to get our kids ready to leave us as quickly as possible. We want them to be independent of us. I started chores with our kids as soon as they were able to walk. Why? I want them independent. If you're old enough to dirty up the room, you're old enough to clean it up. If you can take your toys out, you can put them back. If you're old enough to sleep on the bed, you can make it. If you're old enough to wear the clothes, you can do laundry. I started doing laundry at 5. I learned how to clean a house at the age of 2 and 3. If I could do it, anybody could do it. I'm making them independent. Also, if we keep a hold on them, they're not a good catch. See, again, you can't get grandkids if somebody doesn't catch them. If they're not a good catch, nobody's going to marry them and you ain't getting grandkids. So you want them to be independent of you. You want them to be great citizens. You want them to contribute to their community. You want them to be a great employee or business owner. You want them to be able to carry on your name in a good way. You want them to have a great reputation in the community. Well, they can't do that if you're still holding on to them. All these TV shows that I see now, and I don't watch any TV, this is from video because I don't watch live TV, of kids moving back in the house at 25, at 30, 35, 40. Seriously? No. We told the kids, it's kind of like the song Toyland from Christmas. Once you leave, you can't come back. No, once you go through that door, there's no return back. I'll support you. I'll buy you a meal. I'll give you a hug. I'll tell you I love you. I'll pat you on the back. But no, you're on your own. Well, guess what happens? If you don't hold on to them and you make them independent of you and you let them know there's an expiration date of living in your home and you get them job skills and you get them interpersonal skills and you teach them self-discipline and you teach them why school is important. You teach them why in education, and when I say education, understanding how to educate themselves, whether it be video, whether it be school, whether it be languages, whether it be communication, whatever it is, that's education. See, if you teach them all these things and now they're independent of you, they don't rely on you for anything but love. And if they only want love from you, you've done your job. So let me make sure I didn't leave anything. All right, so the key is, and it's like with the wedding this weekend, and I teach this to all the couples I work with and to their moms and dads. Number one thing you got to do as a couple, leave and cleave. Mom and dad are gone. There is no going home. Wherever you live with your spouse is home. That's home. You solve those problems. You get that handled. Nobody else is here to help you. You ain't going anywhere. You fix this. Because when you leave and cleave and you handle the bad and the good and you go through the brokenness of being married early, people ask me all the time, is there a good time to have kids? Will I ever be financially able? What are you, nuts? Nobody's ever ready for kids financially. You don't really understand what you're going to go through till you have the kids. Well, you can't understand what you're going to go through till you have the kids. You don't understand the emotional and physical and financial strain it is, but it's all worth it. Yeah, it'd be great if everything was perfect. It's not. That's why you have to leave and cleave. Good or bad, sickness and health. You know the verses. But then once that's done, then mom and dad hopefully have gotten you purpose, plan, direction. Purpose. If you're a Christian, it's to spread the gospel and know the Holy Spirit. Your plan, your direction is based on your career. What's your skill set? What are the 3 things that you could do professionally? Whatever they are. Then that's probably what you're going to do professionally. That's how you're going to spread whatever it is. So now you've got a husband and a wife. They get together. They get married. And now they've got one purpose plan. Both talents mold into the other, and now they can go on and reproduce healthy kids. Here's what happens. We're all products of our environment and our programming. So if mom and dad are unhealthy, we become unhealthy, teach our kids to be unhealthy, and there our grandchildren are unhealthy. It's what we would call it in the pastoral world as generational curses. In the behavioral world, we would call it a behavior that's passed on from generation to generation that can damage everyone. Now keep in mind, if you continue this, it's going to be up at least 5 generations. Or we can just fix this, and then we can teach our kids in a healthy environment, in a healthy way, to be who they're supposed to be the people that Christ ordained them to be, and then go on and be healthy. Now, I don't know where you are right now. I don't know where your kids are. I don't know who you are. I don't know where you are emotionally, spiritually, physically, financially, or socially. Don't know that. What I do know is, and from society as a whole, what I'm seeing as a pastor, what I'm seeing as a coach, what I'm seeing when I travel is, we got a lot of people that don't know who they are, have no clue who they are, what their purpose is, where they're supposed to go, what their plan is in life, which has given birth to a lot of reality TV. If you look at all the housewife shows, you name it, good grief. I've never watched one live. I'll go through YouTube and flip through them. And I'll just get the snippets of what's going on. And I've worked behind the scenes for some of this stuff. But what's it show us? It shows us that people have separation anxiety with their kids. People have anxiety, period. People don't know who they are, where they're going, what they're going to do, who they are in Christ. Did God develop them for anything? Why were they created? No self-discipline. All they do is self-destruct. I mean, good grief. How do you think I came up with this topic so easily? How is it I can go away for 5 days and write a whole topic out just by what I saw? I hit a Target, I had 3 restaurants, I had a hotel, I had a wedding, and I had NASA Space Center. Okay, so there was a few things I did. Every single place I went, I saw the same behaviors replicated. Mom and dad holding on to those kids. Mom and dad, a lot of times, not knowing who they were. They had no clue who they were. They don't know why they're even here. They're working a job paycheck to paycheck, wondering when it's going to get better, living for Fridays, dreading Mondays, not knowing why they're here. That's why we end up holding on to their kids so tightly. When in reality, wouldn't it be more healthy to understand that your kids have to leave you? Now, eventually they can come back, but leave and cleave, go away for a while. Then if you want to come back to family, that's great. But this can't last anymore. You can't keep that thumb on them. You got to get rid of that thumb. You got to give these kids to go out, give them a chance to sprout wings, go out on their own, get what they've got to do done. Okay. So, and I'm not talking just about college. That's not what I'm talking about. And a lot of people think, well, I let them go to college and then they're going to, no. That doesn't count because they're coming back for summers if they don't have internships, and then they come back for holidays. No. Once they leave that door, once they leave that dorm room, they go, and you've helped them do that. So what am I asking mom and dad? You take an inventory of who you are. Who are you? What's your purpose, plan, direction? Why are you here? Why are you holding on to the kids? Do you have any self-discipline? Do you have any of the issues that I've just riddled off? Man, I'm rattling them off as fast as I can. Do you have any of these hang-ups? How many times do I get people every single week who are in their 50s call me and go, hey man, can we talk? Or then I get the 30-year-olds going, am I messing up my kids? Or I get the 60-year-olds calling me and going, I really regret doing this. I should have done it this way. Well, tell you what, so you don't have any regrets, so you don't have to feel sorry for anybody, especially yourself. Say today I'm going to do it right. I'm going to do it right going forward. I'm going to set my kids free. I'm going to get them enrolled in what they want to do, what their skill set is. I'm not going to predetermine the outcome. I'm going to let God handle that. And then I'm going to set them free and wish them well and love them. And now I tell G, I love you. I'll buy you some meals. And on his birthday and in Christmas, I buy him presents. And that's about the extent of it. And if he needs anything, he knows how to call me. I think in the last year, he's asked me a couple questions. And then one day he came over and we're watching a ball game and he's just rattling off question after question after question. See, I didn't chase him. I knew that if he wanted a question answered out of me, he'd call me. It's funny because our kids, even though I'm known as an expert in what I do, and it never fails with your kids. What do you know about that? And my wife will just look and go, do you know what your dad does for a living? But it's not a shock. It's the way our kids. I remember Joe Montana talking about his son. His son asked him, what did he know about football? Joe's in the Hall of Fame for college and pros, and he's got 4 Super Bowl rings, but what does he know about football? Our kids don't think we know anything. That's great, but now he's in his 20s now, and he's figured out maybe dad knows something. But do an inventory of who you are. Do an inventory before you run your kids off and they don't want to be around you. Because if you hold on too tightly, they're not going to want to put up with that, and they're going to run away from you as fast as they can. And they're going to resent you instead of love you. You make the choice. You decide, do I want to be loved or resented? And do I want to make the best road for my kids to take and then help them get down that road? And if that road ends up away from me, so be it. You got to make that decision. All right. So if you have any questions, go ahead and email me. All right. Here, so write this down. Problem at wyppodcast.com. Now you can go by our website, wyppodcast.com. Also click the subscribe button. Give us a like, give us a subscribe. Also, if you know anybody, maybe it's not you. It's never us, right? It's always our neighbor or the guy that sits beside me at church or the guy in the next cubicle. Maybe it's those people that have this problem. Send this video to them or send them over to our page. And again, that website's wyppodcast.com. Also, if you go to our website, we have tips and resources just for you because what's our goal? We solve problems. That's what we do. All right. Until next time, I'm Scot Ferrell. Thanks so much for stopping by. Always let us know if we can be of service to you. Take care.
and slow.